Hi there, this is Lisa, and welcome to my informal observation number one. I decided to focus on cultural competence and how we as librarians can make sure that diversity is included in our libraries. In our article, or in one of my articles, I found overall describes cultural competence as the ability of professionals to understand the needs of diverse populations. So, those professionals would be the librarians, the school librarians, and how we understand our populations. So, I like to go down these rabbit holes because that's what I do. So, my first thinking was okay, what are my diverse populations here in Salina? We moved to Salina in 2016. And so I thought that's a good 10-year growth to show what is happening here in Salina. On the left, I included a graph to show the demographic shift in Salina, and I thought it was very interesting to see that, our white non-Hispanic population has actually decreased, while our Asian, Hispanic, and our African American populations have increased by 2, 3, 4 times as much. So, having said that, looking at the growth in Salina and looking at where we're projected to be, if you look in 2016, we had close to 11,000 people in our little town. Now projected, as it just keeps going up, our trajectory at the end of 2026 is to be at 72,848 people. So having said that, with the growth that's coming and the change that's coming, how are we as educators and as the school librarians really looking into our populations that are moving in? Okay, so another thing I also found interesting was the way that people learn knowledge. It used to be years ago, we'd go to the library, pick up an encyclopedia, and we would look up the topic, and that's how we did our research project. Well, in today's world, we have something called multiple literacy learning. And I thought this was very interesting. The fact that people can watch dramas and gain knowledge. They can look at storytelling. I took a really cool digital storytelling class, and my mind automatically was thinking of our fourth and fifth graders being able to tackle this kind of project and share what they've learned and just to teach other kids. I look at music. Music definitely teaches us things. And this one right here, the internet media platforms, oh my goodness, these kids and adults too, but they have information overload at their fingertips. So I know that can be overwhelming. So teaching these kids, how can you look at all the information that's out there and really dive in and learn what you need to learn? And then you look at technology with all the apps and things that we have as well. You can click on a dictionary.com app and figure out what a word means, so dictionary skills are almost like null and void. You also have, they called these personal diaries, which I thought was interesting, where people can write down their thoughts and you can read and learn from what people are thinking. I also thought of this, it could also streamline into like a blog or even like a chat forum. And of course, we still have our books today. Okay, so then that made me go down another rabbit hole, and another couple of other questions popped up of, with these populations coming in, what's the language barrier? What's the language differences that are coming into this community? Like what languages are being spoken in my area? And I know after talking to my ESL teacher this year, we used to only have like 3 languages at our schools. By the end of this year at our school alone, we had 26 different languages being spoken. So having said that about the languages, I look at the cultural sensitivity. Do my library patrons, feel comfortable, when they visit the library? Do they feel it's accessible? Do the signage and the displays, do they meet the needs of those learners coming in, and enough of a, diverse collection of books? So this is what I'm thinking. When I go in to include diversity into the library, first thing I'm going to look at is my books and my resources. First of all, do I have books that have characters with many different diverse backgrounds? Or am I, are we looking at just one type of character? But piggybacking off of that, the students with disabilities, because I think it's very important for our students in today's age to learn and to know how can they help or learn beside their fellow classmates. So I put this one graphic novel in called El Defo. It's in my graphic novels class, actually. And it's a graphic novel, but it's written by a little girl that grew up being deaf in the classroom and how she was treated, So I just thought it was a very good insight. I'm also going to look at the bilingual and multilingual material to support all of our ELL learners. Is there enough of it? I would like to look and see, do we have books that feature, that window mirror kind of for students? Do they look into a window or a mirror and see themselves? Then these characters have gone through same situations that they have and they can relate to. I also want to make sure that we are providing enough graphic novels, audiobooks, and ebooks that we have on our Sora platform. And also, do we have enough large print books? And we'll get into that later when we start talking about accessibility. Okay, then I'm going to step back and look at my displays. Are they inclusive? Are they displaying authors from different backgrounds, from all over? It's not just one type of author that I'm sticking to. I also thought this one could be kind of cool because it could be one, the cultural celebrations display could be one that is interchangeable. There's, in every culture that we look at, there's different things that people celebrate and traditions. Why can't we display that so our learners can learn? I thought it would be neat to have a family share section that we could have parents volunteer to send in things from their culture. We could learn about them. We could find books to go with them, and it's just going to tie very well together. My last two here for the inclusive displays, one is my student recommendations area, and we all know that peers learn more from their peers, more so than they do an adult or a teacher in the room. So just the way that they could read and see so-and-so likes this book because, and they're probably going to pick up the book. I also think it'd be cool to have a posters and artwork section. I think kids could draw different artwork and display, and we could learn about that as well. And we could also maybe learn about different artists that are in different cultures as well. So then another area I would like to look into is how do we celebrate multicultural also across the board. My first part I looked at was, possibly having like a mystery reader come in to read a multicultural book, and I think that's really cool. I also thought about book buddies for a cultural read aloud within classes, especially when you partner up, younger and middle elementary, and we could also make a project with it. I think it would be cool to highlight international authors and illustrators. And I think that leads to a global lens where students can have different learning opportunities. Is there an author we could have like a face-to-face with over a YouTube or, something like that, and just see outside of the lens? So I believe that all students should be represented within our library. So the way I would make sure that it's being done correctly is I would make sure and do like a diversity type audit. This audit, first of all, is going to be over the library collection, making sure all of those things are there present in the library collection. The next part is the language and signage. I had a little boy that moved in this last year, 2 weeks before school started, from Korea. So we had to put up all the Korean words in the classroom so that he could start putting together the English and the Korean words for our classroom. And it was cool because then the other kids started learning Korean. It was really a cool thing. So making sure that's in the library so that they feel comfortable coming in as well. I think the displays need to be interchangeable and they're easy to access. I also think that students and staff should be also included in this survey. Okay, so now we're going to move to the library accessibility part. This is what the American Library Association says about library accessibility. Disabilities in children and teens can affect the ability to learn, process information, interact with the environment, Self-regulate, understand, process, or use spoken, written, or nonverbal language, regulate attention, complete mathematical calculations, interact with the environment, navigate the physical environment, make coordinated movements, process thoughts and emotions, and manage their behavior. That was a lot to say in one little sentence. And then lo and behold, we have kids that are losing teeth left and right in our school. Ha. But the way I would look at accessibility is the first part I'm going to look at is the physical aspect. That's literally what is physically in front of me. Our materials within reach, because I know a kindergartner can't reach on the top shelf to get the book they want compared to a fifth grader. Our aisles and doors wide enough. We have kids that come in, they're going to be in wheelchairs, walkers, crutches, because life happens. Are my tables and my computer tables too, are they adjustable? Can they be moved around so that it's comfortable for the library patrons? And again, looking at that clear signage through the library to help them in the right direction. Okay, so I'm also going to look at my visual accessibility. And visually means like my digital resources. Are they compatible with what needs to go on? Is the large print? Is it on the signage in the books? Is it easy to see? Is there enough offered there? Text-to-speech software. And also magnification software if needed. Now, I do know in the school system, we go through the 504 process, and, there's different things for our other health impaired kids that we can put into their plan. So most of the time they come with what they need. But I also think, what if we have that child, we're putting through the MTSS process, and maybe this is a tool they need that could go with their data to get them exactly what they need in the future. I also looked into the hearing accessibility, and I think about this when we're watching like a book on YouTube or teaching a lesson on the computer screen. Is it going to be closed caption, so that they could read it if they needed to? Are there assistive listening devices? Like I had a kiddo one year that I had to wear the microphone over my neck because she had her hearing aid on. Do we have those kinds of tools in our library to help those kids? Also thinking about hearing, will these kiddos need like more visual supports to make sure they're going in the right direction? And I could help point to different things, or is it something that is going to be written out so that they can follow the directions that way? Okay, then the next thing I looked at was our cognitive and learning accessibility. This is the way I think, okay, this is the way my brain's processing this information. So are there labels that are clear? Are there visual cues that are clear so my brain connects that information? Are there a wide variety of material? Again, that's going to include our graphic novels, our audiobooks, so you have it for sound. But I also think about our low readers and very reluctant readers to pick up a book because they don't have the confidence built up. So do I have enough high interest, low reading leveled books for these kiddos that need just that extra push of confidence? And also I look at, do I have visual schedules pulled up for kiddos that need to know what is going to happen next? The last part I looked at was the sensory friendly part of my library. Is there flexible seating so kids can move and be comfortable, not just sit in those hard back chairs, because we know those aren't comfortable? Is there a part of the library that I need to maybe reduce the harsh lighting? Maybe it needs to be a little dimmer. Maybe I need to turn the lighting up a little bit so that it's a comfortable setting. Is there a quiet area to minimize loud noises to get away from maybe a STEAM activity or a makerspace activity for those kiddos? And at the same time, do I have noise canceling headphones to be able to provide for these students as well? Again, I know a lot of times that comes with them when they come to the library, but it's always nice to have it just in case. So here are all of my references and the articles that I used for my presentation. And thank you so much.